All right, good morning, everyone. Rise and shine. This is McLean Warren with Liaison Marketing. I'm also here with Dan Trumbull with Dan Trumbull Consulting. I know it's really hard to remember with the name and
Absolutely.
the website, but just put consulting on the end and you pretty much get the gist.
Right.
We also have Brendan.
Shameless self-promoting.
Right, exactly. That's what this whole show is about, is self-promotion. We actually have nothing valuable to say to anyone.
Zero.
Hope you buy our services is essentially what that becomes.
No.
All right.
Brendan is Brendan Fields, owner of Rebate, also longtime seller on Amazon. Us three all together run Rise and Shine, which is a weekly podcast video. I don't even know what you guys call it. Like, is it called a podcast if it's on video? I don't even know like what you would describe it as, but essentially
Our show, we can call it whatever we want.
It sounds good.
Yeah. It's essentially us videoing ourselves, making asses of ourselves. So, yeah.
And we talk about Amazon once in a while.
Every once in a while. Now I had, before we get into listing optimizations, which is specifically what I want to get into, I have a really important question for you guys. Okay. And I don't want you to hold back. I want you to just be totally honest with me. This hat.
That looks amazing. Oh my God.
Can I pull it? No, but can I pull it off? Is the real question.
McLean, you look amazing. I wish I could pull that off.
It's got like a Pharrell thing going on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bought it. I like when you're drunk and you impulsively buy something because we're like, oh my God, this looks so cute on the model. And so you like buy it and then you get it and you're like, how drunk was I? Like,
so were you shopping in a store or on Amazon?
No, Amazon. I don't shop.
Oh, I see.
Anymore. Are you kidding me? No, Amazon.
So I was at Walmart drunk this morning and I found this hat in my pajamas.
No, that's how my Friday nights are. I just have a bottle of wine and Amazon to the left of me and I just shop and I can't.
I don't think you're alone in that.
Yeah.
Well, any of you can borrow it anytime you want. Down to business. This is Karen. Do you like to be called, I always want to call you Kay Meredy. Like, I don't even know like what cute name we can come up with for you, but like, do you have like a nickname or something that we can call you?
Well, I do. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but definitely growing up, people called me Care Bear.
Care Bear. I like it.
I could see that fits. I'm wearing a snuggly little sweater. Oops. Seems like my green screen's all cutting out, but
you are the Care Bear. And you just,
everything looks great.
Yeah, and you shine. I always do that. I always forget something in the middle of these shows, which again is good because it's all casual. But rainbows. You're just like one big shiny pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So
you're so sweet.
Care Bear.
Thank you.
On to you. So Miss Care Bear here is a I don't know if spokesperson is the right word, but actually, why don't you just introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you. Well, thanks for having me on the show, you guys. This is so fun. This is definitely the funnest podcast show I've been on. I like the casual nature. It's good laughs. That's how you do it. It's how you make it a fun show to watch too, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, my name is Karen Thomas, aka Care Bear from now on. It's what you're gonna know me as in the Amazon industry. But yeah, so I recently joined Helium 10 about 6 months ago, and I'm an official brand evangelist. And basically, I got into the Amazon world about 6 years ago as a seller with my ex-husband. And then 4 years ago, I started my own content creation agency, basically doing sales copy, keyword research, photography, video. And so that's kind of how I collabed with Helium 10 because I've always been a long fan of Helium 10 ever since they started and many coats. And so they asked if I wanted to be a brand evangelist. It's kind of like a brand ambassador, I don't even know, you know what I mean? It's like spokesperson, who knows? But yeah, I love Helium 10. I use it all the time for listing optimization. So yeah, that's kind of my story in a nutshell.
Now, were you using Helium 10 prior to being an ambassador?
I was, yeah. Definitely my go-to.
So do you work, Karen, do you work remotely or you work at their office? Or I guess everybody's remote, but pre-COVID.
Yeah, it's so ironic because I actually moved from Utah to Irvine to work in the office. And then, it ended up being a couple of months until I started working. And so in the end, it's only been virtual since I started. So I technically didn't need to move here. So It's good though. You can't complain. I'm in sweats and I got my green screen. So
Oh my God, you were such a Utah girl too. I lived in Park City for a year.
are you serious?
Yes, and everyone I knew, like you, like exude like the Midwest Utah, like blonde girl.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
definitely Utah vibe, right?
where in Utah were you located?
Well, I have to say, McLean, technically I was born in California, so I hope I can also get the California girl vibe because I'd rather take that than Utah girl. But
Yeah.
I grew up most of my life in Utah, so I can see that influence maybe is the stronger one. But so I lived in several places. Basically, when I was 10, my family moved to like central Utah, kind of like by Provo, for any of you who know that. It's about 30 minutes away from Park City.
Mhm.
And then basically for the last 5 years, I was living in St. George, Utah, which is at like the southern tip. It's like an hour away from Las Vegas. So then a lot more dry and the pretty red rocks. So I definitely like that area a lot better. I don't like cold. I don't like the snow. Give me the sunshine. Care Bears need sunshine and rainbows, right?
You're solar powered.
Yes. Thank you, Dan. Amen.
You
That's what
bet.
I need.
I live in Upper Michigan, so it snows all the time.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah,
Ouch.
yeah.
How cold
I
is it
love
right now, Dan?
Today we will have a high of 39.
Oh, ouch.
So a heat wave for November, really.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's
What's
people
the
walking
normal?
around in shorts.
That's why he looks so tan right now.
Yeah,
I'm wearing shorts, not right now, actually, but you know.
that's amazing.
Well, in our last, I shouldn't say our last, in our first podcast ever, we talked about launching because obviously Brendan owns Rebate. So he spoke a lot on the importance of launching campaigns. But we also talked about how launching campaigns can only get you so far, and PPC can only get you so far. And if you have a lot of clicks on your sponsor ads, or you have a lot of purchases on cheap products, but in the long run you aren't making those conversions or sales, most of the time it has to do with your listing optimization. I think you would probably agree with that. So do you want to kind of I would like to get into like the technicalities of how you do listing optimizations, but in general, when people ask you what the importance of listing optimizations are, what is your spiel on that?
Do you want me to go first?
You're the only one that does this, so.
Oh.
Just point of contention, I also do it.
No, I do too. I just.
Okay.
I'm like, I think,
She's
yeah,
our
I
guest.
feel like, yeah, I feel like all of you have a lot of expert points to weigh in. So I'm like, but yeah, for sure. I definitely, when I think about listing optimization, I think first and foremost, I want to really dive into the mind of my customer, because I think it's so important to, obviously you need keyword research, you need to do really good product research. But when you think of listing optimization, oftentimes it's like the finer points of customers' emotions. And, I like to call it like the why, right? Figuring out why they want to buy the product. And so first of all, let me back up to your first question. So I think listing optimization is so crucial because it's all about improving conversion, right? You talked about it's so essential to have, a really good launch in PPC, like doing the traffic. That's so crucial, but just as crucial is conversions, right? Because if you're doing that, then it's going to make your traffic a lot more efficient. Your PPC budgets will go a lot farther. You'll have way better success with that. And then Amazon obviously rewards you. If you're converting higher, then they want to send more traffic to you organically. So ideally, you'll get higher page rankings for your keywords that you're trying to rank for. And then I just think overall it just gives more profitability to your business, which means higher valuation to your company. So it's a very, very important part of your business. And I think it's the fun part. And I'll be honest, I'm not really a numbers person. Y'all seem like very smart and you got a good balance of numbers and the creativity, but I got like no number smart. Like I don't even want to like look at the PPC stuff. I'm like, please, somebody do this for me, because it's never been my strong suit in life. But I like the creativity of listing optimization. I like diving into how a customer thinks. And so basically, well, I don't know if you want me to go into my whole spiel of like how I do that, or if you want to like have everybody else chip in their 2 cents? Sorry, I feel like I'm talking too much.
Just building on that. So like obviously optimizing it for conversion is huge. And then building off that as well is also building a listing so it's accurate. Because I think a lot of times you see sellers that'll create a listing that's really well optimized, but I'm sorry, it's optimized and it converts well, but if it's not an accurate representation of the product, you get killed on the backside because you get a lot of returns, and then that's going to kill your ranking. So it's kind of like this marriage between being optimized but also being accurate to the description and images of the product, and what customers actually think they're buying as well.
Such a good point.
Yeah, I'll tack on too. So I think listing optimization for me and for my clients is primarily about organic discoverability, right? It's much less expensive for someone to find you and your product through organic discoverability than to have to pay Google, Amazon, Facebook, any number of people that we all constantly write checks to for marketing. Write checks, yeah, because we're all writing checks because it's 1985. No, but you know what I mean. So organic discoverability is huge. And then when you get to Brendan's point, when the potential customer gets to the actual listing, it really has to be not only an accurate representation of what the actual product is, but it has to be aesthetically pleasing, right? If it's confusing or choppy, or if it's just crammed with keywords and phrases that don't make sense when you read them naturally, you're going to push them away from that, and they're going to have negative feelings. But so ad copy really is, to me, it's part art, part science. It really is a very specific skill. So congratulations, Care Bear, for focusing on it.
Thank you, Dan. I'll take
it
from you. Thank you.
Sure.
Now, one thing as you guys spoke about this, one thing that I struggle with is that the average Amazon shopper will go on your page for 4 seconds. If you have not captured their attention in that 4 seconds, you will lose them. If you have captured their attention, they spend about another 17 seconds on your listing. Not a lot of time to sit and read through your bullets in your product description, right?
Right.
So the average customer will first look at your photos, they will look at your pricing, and they will look at the reviews. So with that being said, how do you as a copywriter figure out a good balance between catching people's attention, getting your point across, getting those features known, while also competing against all these other elements? And I'll go with you, Care Bear, first.
Oh, thanks, Glenn. Great question. Because it is so true. We definitely have limited attention spans. And, I always think if people can get to the description and the A+ content, then they really need to be rewarded, because you're right. It's more rare that people want to take the time to read everything and look through everything. So I think, to me, I like to think of it like a really good newspaper headline. You know what I mean? You want it to be catchy. You want it to really grab their attention so they want to read more and they're kind of getting hooked. And yeah, it's hit and miss, but I think for me, I like to think of every bullet point just having a wide tagline that basically touches very quickly on why they want to buy it. So it's a mix of maybe one bullet point, it's talking about the ultimate benefit that they're going to get from using a product. And then the next one, it's what makes my specific spatula set the coolest on the market, right? Mine's the only one that has an ergonomic grip handle or something, right? So I like to have catchy, basically mini headlines for every bullet point in all caps. And then I like to have an emoji at the beginning. And sometimes if I get crazy, I'll do some crazy font HTML just to make that wide tagline stand out from the page so that they can quickly skim it. And if it catches their attention, like you're saying, in that first 4 seconds, and they click and they want to read more, this is cool. I want to actually look at all the images. I want to read all the infographics. I want to watch the video. I want to scroll down and read the questions and the reviews. So I think it's all about hooking them through those really good, short, punchy headline, wide taglines, I call them, in every bullet point.
It's funny you said that, and I this isn't a challenge, this is a question, because I've definitely seen a lot more uses of emojis.
Mhm.
And one, I was always under the impression that that was against Amazon's TOS. And also, there's a lot of rumors saying that you can't have all capitals in your bullets. Do you have a rebuttal to that?
Yeah, I mean, you're totally right. Both of those things are technically TOS. And, I always, this is my philosophy, and you guys can disagree with me, but I always see it more as, there's different levels of sins, as as I call it, on Amazon. There's like the don't murder. I think anything like review manipulation, that kind of stuff is like way more intense.
Intellectual property right infringement, that sort of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you
Versus,
bet.
I think like having an emoji or like all caps bullets. Personally, I haven't seen anybody that I personally worked with get in trouble for that.
Mhm.
Even some of like people do some different things on images. Like technically, you're not supposed to have your packaging in your main image, but I would say, I've seen many, many, many bestsellers doing that, or having different things that aren't exactly TOS compliant. That, usually it's not as severe. If you get in trouble, it's a hands up, like take it off, and then they'll take it off for a couple days, and then the next week it's back on. So I guess anything that I do or share, yeah, it's gray area, maybe technically TOS, but I don't think it's anything that's going to get you in severe punishable action from Amazon.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's definitely. So I see, as the owner of a launch platform, this enormous spectrum from sellers that, do not want reviews because it's the orders are sourcing from a launch platform. They don't want to use search find buy. They don't want to do anything of any risk. And then I have other sellers say, well, you're crazy that you don't require a review in exchange for a discount. And like, you see this vast difference among sellers between, their risk tolerance, but definitely, to Karen's point, like there are things that I can say pretty confidently, you're not going to get kicked off of Amazon for having your product packaging in the photo, whereas you certainly could for IP infringement or paying for reviews. So there's definitely a gray area, and picking where on that spectrum you want to be is, I guess, up to each seller, but there's definitely a good spot to be where you're taking some risk, but not passing that line where you're going to be, punished by Amazon.
Well said.
I'm generally of the same opinion of Brendan, that and Care Bear, in that there are different levels of sins in Amazon. And if someone doesn't know that, they haven't been selling on Amazon long enough. If you're selling shoes and you paste Nike on them, you're going to get suspended for the rest of your life. That's it. It's going to be over.
Yep.
Conversely, if you put an emoji in a bullet point, you'll probably never hear about it. It may or may not reduce organic discoverability. I don't know. I've never tested that. I don't use emojis anywhere in listings. Not to say that it's a bad practice. I just don't do it. I consider every character critical, but people build listings a lot of different ways, and there's a lot of different ways to get from point A to point B. It's not just one single path. This is all custom tailored.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Karen, what and then we'll get way more to the technicalities. I don't know what you are allowed or not allowed to reveal. But as a guideline, what would you say, like going from the bullets to, and we'll just start with the front end first instead of going to the back end, but with the bullets, the title and the product description, what are your general rules for those three?
You're really good at this, McLean. Thought-provoking questions. These are very good. But yeah, I think your title is definitely.
Like I've done this before. It's really weird.
What? Are you serious? You're like so good at this. I'm shocked how good you are at this. Like, dude, I don't know what you've been doing your whole life. This is like your calling. Really impressive.
Well, when you get a chance on Facebook today, I put on a video of when I was like 7, and I was doing a workout video where I was tutoring people on how to like properly work out. So if you want to know where my calling really comes from, definitely check that out, because it is gold.
I can't wait to see that.
It is gold. It is gold.
I cannot wait, McLean. You got so many hidden talents.
I
Impressive.
was making an ass of myself, but anyway, I'll let you take the
Sure.
you take the yeah, it's your platform now.
All right, beautiful. So yeah, I would say your title is definitely one of the most crucial points. I mean, you touched on, price is really important in your main image, but definitely like your title. That's, again, it's kind of like the movie trailer to get people to go to the show, right? You want your title to stand out. So again, I'm going to say my personal preference is a little bit more gray area. So everybody to each their own. So for me, I don't like having a brand name at the beginning of the title. I know Amazon does want you to do that, but I would say unless you have a lot more traction, people know your brand a lot more, it's kind of a waste of that important part of your title, because the beginning of your title has so much ranking juice power. So for me, I like to have like my most important keyword phrase. And sometimes, when people start their Amazon businesses and they start their brands, they're not thinking keyword smart brand names, which I don't blame them for. So, they may have this like 5-word long brand name that has no important keywords in it and nobody's searching that. So it's kind of like throwing people off when they see, a brand name in the search results and they're like, I'm looking for a lamp, not Karen's Crazy Creations for, what I mean? It's
You
like,
mean
Which
Care
would
Bear.
literally be anything,
You mean
right?
Care
Yeah.
Bear's Crazy Creations.
Right.
Thank you, McClay. Let's correct this here.
100%. You cannot start a business selling things named Care Bear. That's trademarked.
Dang it. We got to find another good nickname for me, guys.
We could spell it different and not sell teddy bears, maybe.
Exactly. We'll spell it with a K.
There you go. You're right. Representative of Karen. Perfect.
Yes, genius. Okay. Just give me some good ideas. A new brand, you guys, my kids.
Yeah.
Toys.
That's
But so-
funny, Karen. So I've said that on every podcast episode. When you started to say it, I was like, yep, you saw me, I give you thumbs up. That's exactly, always start with the keywords first. That's
Oh, good.
Which is
secret,
funny
like-
because I totally disagree, but I'm going to explain why I disagree, but I want to hear your guys' opinions first.
This is
Yeah.
fun. I think it's always good to have a good disagreement, just to have some good banter. So yeah, first, I definitely agree doing that, like having your main keyword at the beginning. And then I like to have an exact phrase form in my title. So I like to have 3 to 5 of my best keyword phrases in the title. And then I also think, like I mentioned, like the readability, right? You want to capture attention. So just having good adjectives, I think, is a good way to make your title more exciting. So, premium or the ultimate set, or something just that really is going to grab your attention when you're describing your product. So I would say doing that in your title. I talked about a few important things that I do for bullet points to make those wide taglines stand out.
Can
And
I
then-
ask how many characters you suggest? Sorry to.
Oh yeah, good question. So in the bullet points, I personally like to have each one be around 250 characters to 350 characters. For me, I'll be honest, I don't focus as much as keyword optimization in the bullet points. For me, it's more about conversion, so really good sales copy. So I'll use a good keyword just to describe my product. But it's not like I'm focusing on like I want to have 10 keywords in my bullet points. I just think there's less weight in the bullets anyways, and so I really just want to optimize it for conversions. So yeah, I'm not thinking as much as like trying to index for keywords in the bullet points. So yeah, 250 characters to 350 per bullet. And then product description, even if you have A+ content and you can't see your description, I still like to have, something pretty substantial there. And I think it's good to have, a couple important things. Like I like to have good lists. Like, again, I just want to spell it out for people so they don't have to think too hard. So, what are, excuse me, I need to get some water, but basically like, what are the top 10 reasons why someone would love your product? Or maybe some uses. Maybe I'm selling a spatula and I give them 10 cool ways they never knew they could use a spatula, or just some easy way that they can read it. And again, we don't want to get it lost. And a lot of that has to do with formatting, right? So a lot of people just have, a chunk of 2,000 characters in their description. And I wouldn't read that. You couldn't pay me, $100 to read that. Like, it's just, it's boring, right? So breaking text up, I think, is a good way to make it more readable. So having bulleted lists, having, paragraph breaks, those are all good things to help make it more readable and easy for the customer.
I couldn't agree more. I just want to jump in real quick. So some people don't know, if you don't have A+ content, which means you don't have a trademark on Amazon, you can still use limited amounts of HTML in the product description. And that allows you to do exactly what Karen is talking about. It allows you to break up information and use additional bullet points and breaks and paragraphs, even bold, right? So it won't increase organic discoverability, but it greatly increases readability and aesthetics.
Beautiful. I love your phrase, Dan. Organic discoverability.
Organic discoverability. It was my word of the day today, my phrase of the day. Now, I talk about it with clients all the time because it's the most profitable way for customers to find your product is organically. So it makes sense to invest in things like listing optimization. And I will unbiasedly say a Helium 10 subscription makes a lot of sense, especially for newer sellers or people that aren't well versed in listing optimization.
Well, actually, that phrase is going to have me circle back to, and I want Brendan to go first because he gave Care Bear the thumbs up when she said don't use your brand name. I have a very different opinion on that, but I want to hear Brendan's opinion. Of course, I have a different opinion because I like to argue. But Brendan, I want to know why you think that's a good strategy.
Yeah, so like Karen said, so the greatest rank juice, organic rank juice, comes from the beginning of the title. So like I'll see a lot of sellers that have their primary keyword just tacked on to the end of their title. And there's a huge, I guess, decrement in ranking power from the keyword being at the end of the title versus the beginning. And I don't know how quickly it degrades, but it's pretty quick. Even by the middle of the title, those keywords aren't having much effect on rank. So like the way I'll do it, I would do like iPhone case, black, whatever, just a few words by ABC phone cases. So it's just like the primary keyword phrase by, and then your brand name. And then I would do either comma or that, whatever that symbol is, that's like the straight up and down. I never know what that's called, but, and then the rest of the, title. So
I actually just learned you can't use that anymore.
Somebody said that to me too. It's still in my title, so they haven't taken it.
I tried to do one recently with that, and they were like, "No, you can't do that anymore." I was like,
and it's called a vertical pipe, by the way.
Oh,
there you go. I just like straight line.
yeah.
That line. It's interesting you say that. One, I guess my reasoning for disagreeing with that is it's a three-parter. One, with your canonical URL. Your canonical URL is going to be decided based on your brand name and then everything following that. You want your brand name in your canonical URL. Now, to Brendan's point, you can have that toward the end if you want. That being said, because this happens to me all the time, I have a client, right? And they want me to find them on Amazon, right? And so I'm on Amazon and I'm looking up their phrase or whatever, and I can't find them, right? I cannot find them. I'm looking at like luggage, blah, blah, blah. But there's no brand name in there. And so I have no way of knowing which one is theirs and which one is not, right? And that's really bad for search, find, buy, because people are not going to be able to find your product if they're trying to do search, find, buy. It's also not very good practice if you're trying to get brand recognition. Like if you want people to know your brand and your goal is to build a name for your brand, like, and you want your friends to like buy your product and you want all these other people to buy your product, if you, and especially on mobile when it's truncated and it's only the first 80 characters, when you can't even tell that it's your brand, you're missing a huge opportunity for people to say, oh, this is the right brand. This is the one I'm trying to go to. And that would be, I'm not arguing that rank juice is most important in the front. is kind of a different argument, because I certainly agree with that. And I certainly agree with the fact that if you have a brand name that's like 10 words long, you shouldn't use that. Maybe use just the first word in your brand, just something that so people know what they're looking for, what they're searching for. And then you can have your, main keyword after that. So that would be my only caveat to everything that you've said. But that's just been my personal experience when trying to like help other sellers and trying to figure out what they're selling.
Yeah, just to be like a bit cynical on that, like, so I've had a big sporting goods brand for years and years since I started selling on Amazon. And the value of my company is, if I'm truthful about it, it's my keyword rank, because nobody's looking for my brand name, even after all these years. I mean, when I say nobody, maybe 2% of orders I get are from a search with my brand name, and the rest is just valuable.
Because they don't know your brand name.
And how much branding have you done?
Yeah, how much branding have you done?
Not as much as I probably should have, but like, it's hard. I mean, just to be truthful, it's hard to build a brand when you're competing on price and reviews and the main metrics on Amazon. But or unless your product is so distinct and so unique that you're the only one selling it and people are looking for that brand. But if you're ABC supplements and you're selling vitamin C, if you have good reviews and a good price, nobody's looking maybe for your brand, but they're just buying because you have good real estate on Amazon. So and good reviews and good price and photos.
Good point.
I mean, I certainly understand both arguments. What were you gonna say, Karen?
I was going to say, I'm interested to hear your guys' opinion on changing your title. Like, are you guys of the mind that you set it and forget it, you have one really good optimized title and you don't mess with it? Or are you the mind like you kind of filter out different keywords that you want to target and do like PPC campaigns behind it?
Dan, I'll let you go first.
Sure. I just want to run down my criteria and thoughts on the bullet points title. So I follow the Amazon style guide almost like a Bible. So for me, it's 80 characters or less for the title, and then the brand name, which for all the reasons McLean said, I think are critical. If you're building a brand, you need to be building the brand from product one, and you need to start creating recognition. But the very next thing after the brand name should be your main keyword or phrase. If you're selling blue widgets, it should be ABC blue widgets, and then any sort of differentiator. And like Karen said, you have to be in the mind of the customer. Are they looking for widgets, or do they call it something else? Is it a spatula or is it a flipper? You know what I mean? Kitchen utensil. Anyway, and then for me, that's 80 characters or less. And then each bullet point follows a very simple differentiator / feature, function, benefit type of format, 100 characters or less. And then the description is kind of a free-for-all of flowery language peppered with keywords and phrases, normally organized with either brand registry or A+ content, or if they don't have that, HTML, just to kind of finish out the clean look of the listing. But that's my thoughts on building listings. I think it maybe takes a little bit from both sides, but I am a brand name first guy for sure, just like you, McLean, for a lot of the same reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was your question when you threw? I know I answered a different question. I'm like a politician. What was your question again?
I don't remember. Although it did bring me to another question, which is, Karen, when you said that Dan, when you said that you did more fluffy, longer content for your product description, Karen, let me ask you this. With the transition from people going to mobile, with product description being the first thing they read as opposed to the second thing they read, do you take that into account when you write your product description?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely still want it to be really, really highly optimized language. So again, for me, like I don't focus as heavily on keyword stuffing. I still pepper it in where it makes sense, but it's more for readability, both in the description and bullet points. I just feel like it has less weight anyways. So again, I really want to focus on really optimized titles so that people are skimming, they're seeing it. And again, Dan mentioned like doing some good HTML really helps, those important points stand out, really good headline, bulleted lists. Again, I like my emojis. I know I'm kind of
You're a Care Bear.
I'm a Care Bear.
Care Bears.
I want rainbows and sunshine and colorful check marks and anything that makes it more fun. So anything like that, I love. So I like to put those in the description as well, just to, again, like draw attention, so it's not just black and white. So yeah, I'd say that's my style.
Now, with you saying, and I want your opinion too, Dan and Brennan, but with you saying that you don't think that the bullets in the product description weigh as much in terms of ranking, in terms of keywords, which I would agree with you completely. In fact, with Liaison, we focus on the back end more than we do the front end. With that being said, as you know, in recent changes, Amazon is getting rid of a lot of fields in the back end, ones like subject matter that were really important for ranking. So, and then they're adding more bullets to the front end. Do you think that means there's going to be a switch in terms of the value of keywords in the front end now?
That's a really good point. I actually do. I think it will probably weigh a lot heavier. And I don't know, this is just my opinion, but I do think it will be probably more crucial to follow Amazon's guideline, like what Dan was saying, to have, 100 characters per bullet point so that you can index all of those and really make sure you have good keyword phrases in that. So I do think you're right. I think it's probably going to transition more if you can't use the subject matter fields in the back end.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I agree. I mean, I think it's logically, if you've worked on Amazon on the back end, built listings, I think that if you subtract over here, you have and add over here, it just makes logical sense that there's going to be more weight if there's more information. I also think that Amazon is trying to cure a problem of confusion. That page previously, and still is to some degree, that back end search word page is very confusing, especially to not to me, but to new clients. I can't tell you how many times I've have people ask me, what are platinum keywords? And just for the record, those are keywords only for platinum sellers. Platinum sellers are only people that have been invited by Amazon to become platinum sellers. And that's not me either.
Have you ever met anybody that's a platinum seller?
Never that would tell me. I ask a lot of people, but
Yeah.
So I think too, an interesting thing with this change is, and we talked about this on a previous episode, but that Amazon knows more about your product and what people are searching for and how they're interacting with your product than you do. So like a lot of the stuff with keywords, it's only when you're starting out, because if you're changing the keywords on a product that's 3 years old, Amazon doesn't care, or at least they shouldn't, because they have so much data on your product. They don't need at that point you to tell them, my product is really this or it's that. Shoppers have told them and they have a lot of data. So I think you'll see a lot of back-end stuff continue to be taken away because they don't really need that information, especially after, a few months of your product being live on the marketplace.
Well, that actually goes back to, and now I remember what the question was, that goes back to Karen's question. And actually I'd like you to answer that, Karen, is do you think that you should stick with your title, or if you do decide to change your title, how often do you think you should do it?
Yeah, I mean, personally for me, I feel okay about it. I know people have different opinions on it. So for me, like when I'm starting a listing, I think it's important to utilize the space. So I will max it out at 200 characters if the category allows 200 characters. But I can see, like, as you're getting more momentum, you're getting more brand recognition, that it would make sense to obviously like do more Amazon style, shorten the title, have your brand at the beginning, and just focus on, it's a really easy title for people to read. So I can see obviously that there's that kind of phase. And I also see the phase of, trying out different keywords in your title, your top 3 to 5 keywords, and kind of testing which ones are getting the most momentum and kind of matching PPC campaigns with those. So you're getting a lot more traction having the phrases in your title and specific PPC keyword campaigns. So for me, I think it is interesting, and I've seen it be really productive for many sellers to kind of have that strategy of switching it up every couple of months, but I'm interested to see what you guys think. You guys have been in the field for a long time and you have a lot of experience, so I'm interested to see your opinion.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, right? Because like I would think that these super long keyword stuff titles, at least to me as a shopper, I'm kind of turned off by that. It seems cheap. It's like, and when you see a short, clean title, I don't know why, but I feel like it's a good quality product. So like that actually makes a lot of sense, shortening it once a product is more mature and kind of ranked and developed on Amazon. Smart idea.
I would be concerned that when you, like, if you change your bullets in your product description, your entire listing doesn't necessarily re-index. When you change your title, it does. So one concern for me, and I warn clients of this like very adamantly, is that if you are performing very well with your keywords in your title and you're getting good ranking juice, you want to be very, very careful about changing your title, because what's going to happen is the entire listing is going to re-index. And that doesn't mean you're going to get that traction back on those high ranking keywords. So like, for example, like with Liaison, we actually do a 12-step program so that if a listing's already doing well and performing well and they have the reviews and they're ranking really well, but they want to do better, we actually go through a series of steps to ensure that they maintain their keywords that you're ranking well for, and then add newer keywords so that it doesn't mess with their current ranking. So I do agree that it's always, I especially think it's good if you're not performing well. I think it's good to change up your title and see if other things work. I definitely agree with that. I think that if you're already performing really well, you'd be very, very cautious of changing that title, because that's your main real estate. That's your most important real estate. And if you mess that up, like there's a chance you're not going to get that ranking back. So that would be my personal opinion on it.
That's really well said.
Yeah, I guess that leaves me. So I guess I'm a, if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of guy. If you're already achieving your goals or exceeding your goals for that product, I guess I agree with McLean. I know that if you take out keywords,
kill you to say that you agree with me.
What's that? What's that?
Does it kill you to say you agree with me?
Not at all. Not at all. It happens once a year. We're almost to the end, so here we are.
Woo! Red letter day.
Okay, sorry.
No, so I think in the first 90 days, maybe 100, the launch period, and whatever that's considered. Some people it's 6 months, some people it's 30 days, whatever. But during the launch period, I think is the time to do the most amount of fiddling. But if you're not achieving your goals with that product, that would be an ideal strategy. Change up the title, change up the bullet points, try and get your listing re-indexed, maybe even put in some sort of automated pricing that if not this many units are sold in this many days, then change the price by a dime or something, you know, add a coupon. So all of those things you can do to kind of generate interest. But overall, if the product is performing well, if you're reaching your goals, I don't change it at all.
Beautiful.
Now, one thing, and you know, I don't know what you are allowed to not speak of with helium. I don't know if you had to like sign like a blood contract and
I need my blood.
offer your firstborn child or something like that.
Take them all. No.
But I am curious. I think I'm not going to make you go through the steps of how to use Cerebro and to try to find keywords, because I think most people, if they've used helium, they understand that. What I am curious about, because I have heard different philosophies and thoughts on when you get your list, right? When you've gotten your keyword list, when you want to really hone in on the keywords you want to use, what columns in that list do you think you should focus on other than search volume?
Really good question. Well, I think that's a big one. I also think knowing relevance is important. And I think to me, that's knowing that, you know, you have at least, you know, your top 5 out of 10 competitors ranking for that keyword on the first page, because I think that shows you that's where most of the sales are happening. So those are a clue to me that that's really where I want to focus as the keywords that are, you know, giving the most sales. So I think that's really, really important, the ranking competitors and also the ranking position. So I like to have like in the advanced filter to make sure that, of those competitors that I have in the multiple ASIN search, that at least 5 of those are getting traction on page 1. And so those are the ones I really want to put in my listing in the back end and in the front end.
Perfect. Great answer. Do either of you guys have any input with regards to that? I don't know how much you guys use Helium or not, or even if you use other programs, that's fine too, to plug those as well.
Yeah, I don't use it. I'm familiar with it. And yeah, obviously it's kind of like a calculation based on what everybody's looking for. So search volume as compared to competition, right? So like the unicorn is like a product with huge search volume and no competition. And it seems like there's fewer and fewer of those, but I'm sure they're still out there. So yeah, I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah, I definitely think with Helium, I know that, with search volume, I'll go to look at a keyword, for example, that has a high search volume. But if I see that when I go into Amazon and I search for it and there's not many listings that actually have it in it, there is your golden egg.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
that competition has gone down significantly and you're like, yes, I found what everyone's looking for, but no one is ranking for. And so that's definitely an important factor when it comes to figuring out your keywords.
Good point. That's really well said.
Yeah, it's a tough thing because a lot of times that's temporary, and the more people use the tools, the faster they're found. So like, I almost feel like once you kind of find that product, you have to like lay claim to it, build it as quick as possible, get reviews, TOS compliant way, but get reviews and kind of put your stake in quickly before other sellers start selling it, because a lot of times I think it's just a matter of time. So
perfect. Well, we're about to wrap up. I'm going to let everyone take their turn and just kind of give one piece of insight that they would give anyone regarding listing optimizations. If you have one thing to tell someone, what would that be? Care Bear, we'll go with you.
Thanks, Flame. So I would say, we've talked briefly how important reviews are, but they are tricky to get sometimes. And so as you're starting a new listing, not only would I, have a strategy to get reviews, just obviously all ethically, I don't mess around anything gray area or black hat with reviews. Use Amazon Vine, the early review program. I think those are a couple of really good ways to start getting some early reviews. Ideally, you have 25 reviews, and I think that's a good place to start getting the social proof you want. But I think another way you can influence social proof and credibility is questions, and I feel like that's totally above board and clean to do. You can have your friends and family ask questions on your listing, and it will actually show up at the top right by where it shows how many ratings you have. So if you can have 25 different friends and family leave a question on your review, leave a question on your listing, then it's a good way to again, pack out your SEO with really good keywords in your responses. So you can just give them a list, or you make a list of 25 top questions just by reading other listings and the questions, and maybe other questions that you make up of,
Sure.
things that you really want to highlight, maybe something that may scare someone from using your product, but you have them ask it as a question, and then you would give a really good response. So it kind of overcomes fears in those answers. So then in your answers, you can also put in your top keyword phrases and just show really good customer service, show that you really care, you give prompt responses. I think it's a good way to, again, just use real estate that you otherwise wouldn't think of, but it's also, showing credibility and social proof at the top of your page. So don't forget about your question answer section.
And you can also do that with your reviews. You can comment on your reviews and use keywords like you said. So again, like, not only does it show good customer service because you're responding to any people that may have had a bad experience and maybe explain why, they might have. And again, really use those keywords because anymore you can rank for keywords throughout your listing. It's not just the bullets, the title, and the product description. It can be in all kinds of areas. So utilize those spaces. And I really like what you said. It never occurred to me to respond to the question section, but it is true because a lot of the times, like, I'll look at the question section because I'm like, well, does this fit this kind of sock, or does it fit, this that hasn't been answered in the actual listing? So that's really, really good advice. I appreciate that. Brendan?
Yeah, so I know I talked about it on a previous episode, but using automatic targeting, PPC, to get a sense of what shoppers are actually looking for in buying your product, and then using that best performing keyword at the beginning of your title or right after your brand name, however you do it. But let shoppers tell you what they think is the best keyword phrase for your product rather than you guess, because a lot of times, in my experience, I guess incorrectly and it turns out, shoppers think another keyword phrase is more appropriate for my product. So.
Right. Yeah. Dan?
I love the idea. I love the idea of using Q&A. What a great idea, Karen. It's almost embarrassing to say, for 12 years, that's been something that I've had to do. And in this moment, I realize that's something I get to do. And I don't know why I've never looked at it that way, but as soon as you said it, I was like, that makes so much sense. I actually wrote it down. I am definitely going to incorporate that. So awesome. Great. A gem of wisdom for me. I appreciate it.
Wow, that's high praise.
Yeah. So, but the advice that I would give, especially to anyone starting out with building or optimizing their own listings, I would say start off with basic stuff. Learn a little bit of HTML. You can just Google what HTML can I use on Amazon, and there'll be 50 million pages that'll tell you. About 25 million of them will be right, so take it with a grain of salt. And then download the Amazon style guide and read through it, especially if you're looking to go to sleep. It's super boring, but it really is critical. So if you're going to bend the rules or live in a gray area, you should at least know the rules up front so you're not breaking them or breaking rules that will get you ultimately suspended. So that would be my little gem of wisdom for people optimizing their own listings. Just be careful, make sure you're doing things that make sense, get in the mind of your customer, like Care Bear said, and then have fun with it, be creative.
Awesome, love it. Well, thank you everyone for joining. I really appreciate you guys taking time out of your day. Again, this is McLean with Liaison Marketing, Dan Trumbull with Dan Trumbull Consulting, Brendan Fields with Rebate, and Miss Care Bear with Helium 10.
Thanks so much for having me, McLean. This has been so fun talking with y'all.
Awesome. Well, we're so glad you made it, and we'll be sure to have you on the show again.
Yes, please. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.